People get ready, for the train is coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesel humming. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. Welcome, viewing audience and listening audience, to the People Get Ready podcast with the legendary political guru, Mr. Charles E. Bibb Sr. We will begin our podcast today with a quote from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Matter of fact, we'll be doing two quotes. The first one is, there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor politics nor popular, but he must take it because conscience tells him it is right. It may well be, the second one says, it may well be that we will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the neurotic words and the violent actions of the bad people, but for the appalling silence and indifference of the good people who sit around and say, wait on time. We know that those quotes are relevant for today because we have so many situations going on in our community today and in Cleveland. One is the St. Vincent Charity Hospital is closing, and we need our political leaders and we need our action leaders to come out and speak out against the hospital closing. And also, you might say to yourself, I want to start my business. I've been wanting to get a business started. I've been wanting to get my own business, but now is the opportunity for you to begin your own business. You can begin with Bibb Business Opportunity Grand Opening. I said Bibb Business Opportunity Grand Opening. You can begin with Snap Delivered. I said Snap Delivered starts with Employee Retention Tax Credit Program, ERC, refund, $1.9 trillion. Did I say $1.9 trillion? Yes, $1.9 trillion. Come on and get this money. You can receive up to $26,000 per employee. W-2 employee, $26,000 if you qualify. And who are the people that qualify? Well, let me tell you the people that qualify. The people that qualify are those who have a business in the United States and those who have a nonprofit organization in the United States. They qualify for a federal tax refund. You can join SNAP today and become part of this business opportunity. All you need to do, if you want more information, is call Charles E. Bibb Senior Office at 216-681-1469 or call Mr. Bibb's mobile phone at 216-659-4619. We have an awesome show today. We have an exciting show today. We have a special guest on our show today. As Mr. Bibbs would like to say, we have a hot show today. We have the candidates for the county executive here today. We have Mr. Chris Ronay and Mr. Lee Weingart. And we have Mr. Bibbs all the way from Cleveland, Ohio. We're from Bibb's Record Shop. We're going to give you more information on our show today. Come on, give it up for Mr. Bibbs.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Ben Fair. Awesome introduction.
You're welcome.
For a history-making podcast.
Yes.
People, get ready. Former Senator Jeff Johnson, we are setting a record today.
Yes.
This is the first time we've had this type of podcast in Northern Ohio. And we bring this to our listening and viewing audience because we want to get down to the facts. For the last several months, maybe a year, they've been talking about the Cuyahoga County Jail. And candidates, I was here when they were talking about the Justice Center. The jail used to be on 21st. And that's what they told us way back then. This was going to be the best ever seen. You won't ever need another jail. But here we are again, some 60 years later, with the same situation. So I thought on our podcast we would be doing a great service to the great citizens of Cuyahoga County and Ohio if we kept it to one subject. Both of you gentlemen are outstanding Cuyahoga County citizens. So I know you have a great vision for this jail for Cuyahoga County. I call it the $1 billion jail, because every 3 or 4 months it go up $100,000. So we're gonna call it today the $1 billion jail, and I wanna know your vision for the $1 billion jail. And Ms. Candace Jones, so you have 8 minutes to give us information on who you are and your vision for the jail. Thank you. Now you had a flip of the coin. Who's going first?
Well, I'll go first.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Lee Weingart, and I'm running for county executive this year. I'm a former county commissioner. I served in the mid-1990s. While I was county commissioner, I worked with then Mayor Mike White to bring the Browns back to Cleveland and solved a major budget crisis at the county. For the last 25 years, I've been very engaged in the community. In 2003, I was asked to come back to help the county commissioners pass the Health and Human Services levy when a union tried to oppose it. We raised $1.2 million and passed that levy, and nobody has opposed the Health and Human Services levy since then. Was very involved with then County Commissioner Peter Lawson Jones to secure $4 million for the Fatherhood Initiative, which is still in the county budget today, I'm proud to say. Have worked a lot in the 2000s on projects that brought money back to Karamu House and other important organizations in Cleveland. And then last year secured over $2.5 million to help 8 Black-owned businesses survive the pandemic, Karamu House finish off their capital campaign, the YWCA get funding for a preschool program for homeless children, and money for the United Black Fund to create a Black entrepreneurship program that'll be a model for what I want to do as county executive. So I decided to run for county executive 2 years ago. I've been at this for 2 years. And I focused a lot on the urban core of Cuyahoga County, where I think we need the most help. You've seen the last 15 years, a lot of investment downtown in a medical mart, in a convention center, and a hotel. That's done very little for people who live in the neighborhoods, who live in our communities. So instead, I think we need to change our investment perspective, Mr. Bibb, and focus on people in the neighborhoods and in the first-ring suburbs. So I've got 3 major flagship programs. The first is called 10,000 Homes for Cuyahoga County, a $600 million program to have 10,000 families who are currently living in rental properties or public housing move into homes that they own to create for those families security, wealth, and opportunity, and safety for the neighborhood. A program to create 4,000 good-paying jobs in Cuyahoga County. And then a $10 million program to help grow 250 new small businesses. But we've got right now in Cuyahoga County a major challenge with our jail. At least I think we do. I think we've got a problem right now. I'm not sure my opponent would agree. I'm going to quote him from earlier this year in Scene magazine, talking about deaths in the county jail. And this is what Chris Renane said. When you look at national averages across our metros, there are unfortunately some deaths that occur, maybe 2 to 4 per year. But when you double that number, you've got a problem. In my view, every death in the county jail is a problem, not the 5th death in a year. We had 2 deaths in the county jail yesterday. That brings us to 18 deaths in the county jail in this administration since 2018. Now, they would tell you that's because of the jail structure, but that's not true. We have a jail problem without question, and we need a new jail or a renovated jail. But what we really need is an administration that cares about the people in the county jail. 5 deaths a year, 4 deaths a year is not acceptable, at least under a Weingart administration. So how do we fix it? First, I think we go back to an elected county sheriff. When we elected the county sheriff, people didn't die in the county jail because that sheriff was held accountable to the voters. If he sought election or re-election, He had to explain to the voters that somebody had died. When the sheriff really runs the jail, it's a better, safer environment. When I was county commissioner, people didn't die in the county jail. Now, the structure itself needs to be changed without question. And I've got a plan in place, unlike anybody else in this race. The first part of it is we need to renovate Jail 2, which is the smaller and newer of the two jails downtown, and take it to a capacity of 650 defendants. And then build a smaller new jail downtown with the same capacity, 650. Now, that's a reduction from where we are currently, which is about 1,800. So I invest equally in diversion and treatment. Why is that important? Well, the two people who died today, or yesterday in the jail, were in jail on non-violent offenses. Under my reform plan, they would not have been in jail in the first place. We need to ensure that those who are arrested on non-violent offenses are not held in the county jail. They're diverted if they need treatment or support. So I think we can get by with a smaller jail than we have currently right now, and certainly smaller than was planned. Mr. Bibb, a $2 billion jail to hold 2,400 people. And we know that means more black and brown people behind bars. That's not acceptable in this county in this day and age. So my plan is to renovate Jail 2, build a smaller new jail downtown, and invest equally in diversion. And I'll say one more thing about criminal justice reform, which we all know begins at the traffic stop. My opponent has a problem with that. When he ran UCI, the police there targeted black drivers, issuing 90% of their tickets to black drivers. When he tried to fix it, 11 months later, it wasn't 90%, it was 94%. He was supposed to appoint a civilian review board in 2018. He didn't do that until 2021, the day before he left University Circle Incorporated. That means 3 years of people being targeted with no outlet, nowhere to go to complain about the mistreatment of the police that my opponent had charge of. So I think we need to start with criminal justice reform at the beginning, at the traffic stop, and then, of course, work our way toward a new jail system, a renovated jail that protects people in jail. Because those who are in jail are the charge of Cuyahoga County. If we do not provide them a safe environment, then we are liable for millions of dollars, as we've seen already, but we're also morally liable for their lives. And as county executive, I will ensure that those who are held in the county jail are held safely and humanely. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Mr. Chris Ronay to give us his introduction and his vision for the jail.
Thank you, Mr. Bibb, and thanks for all your years of service as a business owner and as a civil rights activist and someone who continues to appeal to our conscience about what's right in this community. I want to say to our listeners, I appreciate the time tonight. It's an important election. Please get out and vote 6 days from the time of this broadcast. And I am very much the qualified, experienced candidate for this job. I worked at Cuyahoga County in a time when the county worked. I started my job at the County Planning Commission. I worked over at the County Commissioner's office in the late 90s. We were putting together a work plan for persons that were transitioning back into the work roles. We learned very early on what it took. Workforce development, things as simple as flattening barriers to entry, like daycare, making sure that people had transportation. When you see a Ronayne administration in the future, you're going to see an administration that is focused on the basics of what people need for productive, purposeful lives. I went on to work at the City Hall of Cleveland. I'm a city resident. My wife, Natalie, and I are raising 2 kids here in the city of Cleveland. We had a great run at City Hall. I was the planning director. I was chief development officer. I was the chief of staff. Mr. Bibb, you mentioned a good friend of mine, Jeff Johnson, Senator Jeff Johnson, City Councilman Jeff Johnson, but I knew him as Director of Community Relations. We worked in the cabinet together. There was a time really where government service was an honor, and I want to restore that honor by way of my candidacy. At City Planning, we not only worked on laying out plans in our neighborhoods, but we brought home dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars to the city of Cleveland. That's why voting is so important for engagement, making sure that we are letting Washington and Columbus know how important this place is. I'll be a champion always for the city of Cleveland and for Cuyahoga County at large. What I went on to do from there was I ran University Circle Incorporated for 16 years with 65 talented women and men, my team. What we did, and what my opponent continues to never reference, is we built a community. We built a community by way of our kids. We worked with 10,000 kids a year from the CMSD and from our area in-ring suburban school systems. Mr. Bibb, I know you had a business in East Cleveland for a number of years. We worked with Shaw High School. We made sure that we had kids with early learning opportunities in our Eli program. We had many, many experiential learning opportunities at our cultural institutions with our kids. But I got serious when I started to see gun violence after school, particularly in our nearby neighborhoods. Working with the Bethune Elementary School in Glenville to make sure that kids had an after-school opportunity where they were learning, where they were safe, and where they were enriched. So we started something called Circle Scholars. Our 7th and 8th graders started telling more and more of their friends, this is a cool program to be in. We found more money for it, and we continued to create more opportunities after school for kids. It's what we need to do at the county. We need to be minding those hours outside of school. I provided 75 to 100 kids on any given summer a work experience opportunity in our Future Connections program. We mentored our kids, we gave them work opportunities, and the stories that our kids told us about neighborhoods that they came from and things that needed to change in their neighborhood were epic. I'll get back to those at some point, but I will tell you, it was a great experience. We worked with dozens of small businesses, particularly in a program that we put together with principally Black and brown businesses in University Circle. It was called Next Step. It helped businesses scale up, be a part of a supply chain. It helped particularly our African-American businesses. 60% of our program participants were African-American business owners, grow their businesses in place. That's the work I continue to be proud of in University Circle. You in the music business formerly and in the production business appreciate Wait Oval Wednesdays. We started those 16 years ago. We brought tens of thousands of persons on any given summer to University Circle. It was more than just music. It was community development. That's the experience that I continue to bring to this job. I'm running on a platform of health. Our communities have got to be healthy. We cannot have this great disparity in age expectancy where your zip code is a determinant of your health outcome. We can't have this great disparity in infant mortality where our city kids are dying. Moms aren't having healthy birthing processes. We've got to support. We've got to help support seniors stay in their homes. I will be after the state of Ohio to increase the homestead exemption. It's access and dollars coming back to this community. But you asked about the jail. I say to you and everybody out here, this has got to be about a system of justice, not just a jail. We need to focus on prevention strategies, diversion strategies, and making sure, like we just had in the last 48 hours, 2 deaths, persons that, while the medical examiner's report is still out, may have come in with drug addiction, needing treatment support, mental health support. We've got to focus on helping people before they get in the doors of a jail. Mr. Bibb, I want to build something that's appropriate, that meets today's modern needs, but I want to build something smaller so that we discipline ourselves to divert, to treat, to get people what they need to return them back to their community. Yes, there are always those persons who've created an egregious, who've caused an egregious crime and will go somewhere else. But that center downtown that you referenced was never meant to be anything more than a detention center. You're either going back into your community or you're going somewhere else. But it's become a place where the average length of stay is over 200 days. So we need to discipline ourselves on a system of justice, not just a jail. It needs to be humane, it needs to be safe, but most importantly, we need to prevent persons from ever having to go in through those doors. I'll fight for bail reform. I'll fight for more efficient centralized booking if we get there. I will fight for diversion and prevention. And I've been doing that for 25 years in my public career, in my nonprofit career. I'll build better communities here in Cuyahoga County, and we'll do it together. Thank you very much, Mr. Bibb.
Great. Thank you very kindly. You candidates gave us a wealth of information about the future jail, which I call the $1 billion jail. By the time they finish running up this bill with this inflation, it will be a $1 billion jail. And you said some very important things, both of you, that we need to incorporate in the next year or two. And I'm gonna have my host and I will get together and send you, whoever wins, some suggestions that we got from both of you today to make this a better county to live in and raise your family and play in. At this time in the program, Ms. Candace Jones, we're going to start our question and answer from the host of the program. And they have questions for you pertaining to the jail. And my last question, you're going to think I already knew what you guys said when you get to the question. So you're already prepared, so that's great. Mr. James Jerome Bell,
Yes, Mr.
you
Bibb.
pose your question to the candidates, please.
Yes, first I wanted to say that it's an absolute honor to have both of you here because you're both qualified young men who can really do well with the county. My question that I pose, though, is what location do you think is feasible, and do you think that the cost associated with this project is worth the investment of the county's tax dollars? Lee, you want to go first?
Of course, I'll go first. He'll copy me. So I think we'll renovate Jail 2, which already exists. That's down to 650 beds. We'll build a second jail at the site of the former juvenile detention facility, which the county already owns. It's 5 acres. We can put 650 beds there as well. That'll save $50 million in land acquisition, relocation, and remediation costs. My jail reform plan will cost under $700 million over 20 years compared to the $2 billion the county was forecasting. This will not require us to buy any more land or fix up any more land, nor will it require us to extend the 0.25% sales tax that was imposed by the county commissioners to build a convention center. So I can build a new Jail 3, and I can renovate Jail 2 within a budget that is reasonable and that won't cost the county taxpayers any more money.
He said I'll copy him. I promise not to do that. If your facts were straight, you would know that the county actually just entered a purchase agreement with the Campus District Nonprofit Community Development Corporation to sell the juvenile court site, and it's been signed by the nonprofit. So part 3 of your plan is defunct. I will tell you that I will invest first and foremost in the current facility. That current facility needs a fix now. When you talk to persons who've been in the custody of county or corrections officers, they will tell you that water leaking from faucets can't even reach a toothbrush, that the food is inhumane and culturally insensitive. So we'll fix what's there now. We will also utilize the second and the younger jail for its more permanent purpose, but we will co-locate our justice center as it was meant to be, our judges and our detention facilities together on Lakeside Avenue. We will. To take the two and separate them is inefficient, unsafe, and just not a smart move. I was the first to say to the press, the site on Transport Road was toxic. I'll be the advocate in this community for a better system and a justice system.
Thank you. Next, hostess, Dr. Gwen Jarvis. Would you share your question with the candidates, please?
Yes, I'd be more than happy to. Thank you all for being here. And I'm Dr. Gwen Jarvis, and I have Tea and Honey on Thursdays. So whoever wins, I want you to be on my show.
Thanks.
As a person who, under Jimmy DeMore, I spent the night in the Juvenile Justice Center with students, with young people. So my question is, citizens have the expectations of successful candidate, whoever the successful candidate is. What is your movement the first 100 days in striving to build the proposed county jail?
Well, one, we will, on the juvenile detention center side, we will get to the bottom of why kids are spending 22 hours in a cell, why they only have 2 hours of outside activity, even just outside their jail cell. We will get to the bottom of that, working with the juvenile court administrator and the juvenile judges. I will also say to you that as far as the overall center goes, it continues for me to be about a system of justice, not just a jail. We will pour equal dollars into programming and prevention and diversion that we will into the jail brick and mortar. Because the jail brick and mortar at the end of the day is supposed to be short-term stay. Either you're going somewhere else or you're going back into your community. We have to spend a lot of our attention on actually preventing persons from going in the jail in the first place.
So the first thing to do is to get into the jail and find out what's happening. Why are so many people dying in the county jail? 2 yesterday, 18 since 2018. That's very clear. We must have a safe and humane jail for those defendants being held there. Secondly, I will bring together the prosecutor, the chief judge, the public defender, and we will quickly come to a conclusion on a new jail program built along the lines of what I'm talking about: renovating jail 2, building a smaller new jail downtown, and investing in diversion for those who are arrested on nonviolent offenses who are not themselves violent people. So we need to divert them out of the system immediately for treatment if necessary. But we cannot continue to hold people in the county jail who are nonviolent. Again, the people who died yesterday, neither was arrested on a nonviolent offense. We need to reform that immediately.
Thank you. All right. Next questioner, Reverend Ben Fair. Will you present your question to the candidates, please?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Mr. Weingart, Mr. Renee.
Hello, Ben.
My name is Reverend Ben Fair, and my question is, for the new jail, what would your proposed budget be? We know that $1 billion is a lot of money. So what is your proposed budget would be to build a new jail?
So I've said my budget is between $700 and $800 million based on the plan that I outlined earlier. That would not require us to extend the 0.25% sales tax, which I think is very important. We only have that 0.25% sales tax left for transformative projects in Cuyahoga County. I don't view the jail as a transformative project. If you spend that money on the jail, you have nothing left to do to invest in our neighborhoods, in our communities, and our families. So I will take care of the jail problem by renovating jail 2, building a smaller new jail downtown for a budget that will not exceed $800 million, which we can pay for over 20 years without extending or raising any taxes.
Thank you.
The most important budget is actually thinking about our census within the jail.
Okay.
Persons in the jail. We need to discipline ourselves not to build bigger. We need to discipline ourselves to actually bring forth justice by way of diversion and other ways that we can keep people from necessarily going in the jail itself. So I start with the premise of the numbers of persons as our budget less than we have now. I will say to you that as a budget goes, numbers will fluctuate. Inflation just gone up, pricing and will fluctuate. Inflation just gone up, pricing and construction costs have gone up. But I want to spend a lot on the issue of diversion and prevention. So those dollars don't all get absorbed in the brick and mortar. That's why I keep saying let's build smaller. Right now in 2022, given that you've got a 10-year sort of outlook on this, it will be difficult to say with certainty what that budget is. But I do not think it's $1 billion, and I do not think it's a $500 million. It's probably somewhere in between, around $750 million.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Sharon Pittman.
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone.
Great.
Hello.
You are next, and would you ask the candidates your question?
Yes, my question to you, gentlemen, hello, and thank you for coming and being on our show. This is an important election, and this information is very vital. My question is, with all of the monies that are going into building the new juvenile detention center, what sorts of developmental growth or educational training programs will be provided to guide the young youth to channel their negative energies in regards to dealing with anger management and peer pressure, and such programs that will work towards their education and obtaining maybe their high school diploma or GED, or even vocation and technical training to encourage them to take a different and better path?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It's got to be about prevention. We have got to be giving kids other opportunities. And I've done that. Again, after school programming with our Circle Scholars program, making sure kids had after school enrichment. I went down to the state and got $800,000 in TANF money so I could bring that program out in the summer and Saturdays. We worked on youth opportunities and employment with 75 to 100 kids every year for 16 years. We need to do more and more of that. we need to provide opportunities, work opportunities, supporting nonprofits like Youth Opportunities Unlimited that works in the 14 to 24-year-old realm, but they've got 10,000 applicants and can only find slots for some 2,000 a year, budgetarily speaking. We got to lean in and give kids education opportunities, after-school enrichment opportunities, summer employment opportunities, and mentorship that shows them pathways to a prosperous future.
We've got 150 or so kids right now sitting at the juvenile detention facility at 93rd and Quincy. Often they're not getting any support or education or training. They're just sitting there. We have written them off essentially as a society and as a county, and that is not right. While I don't control the juvenile facility as county executive, I will work to influence it through the budget. I will make sure that the judges and the staff at that facility are focusing on taking care of those kids in that facility. Again, everybody held in the charge of Cuyahoga County is the responsibility of Cuyahoga County. So we have the responsibility as human beings to the kids in the juvenile facility to make sure that we put them back on the straight and narrow path. So that means training, that means education, that means support. These kids have had a tough time growing up in the inner city. And so I've talked about 4,000 new good paying jobs, which also includes internships. So we can divert kids away from the streets and into productive lives. So we start at the beginning with our internships and with support for kids, but we make sure that when they're in the county facility, we take care of them, we educate them, and we protect them.
Thank you very kindly. This is great. Ms. Candace Jones is giving her first spot, and Mr. James Jerome Bell, give us a question for Ms. Candace, would you?
Yes. I guess we would like to think of Cuyahoga County as a utopian county, one where people can grow, live, work, and play. We know that crime is really a vital issue, as is rehabilitation. What is your utopian dream for a new Cuyahoga?
Utopia is awfully hard to find. I think we just need to focus on the nuts and bolts of government. Investing in our communities to make sure people have opportunities to have jobs and homes and start businesses, that's a great way to cut crime. Now, when you've been sent back to this community, you need a place to live. And last year, I worked in Glenville on a house off of 10-5 to help 4 women find a home that can be their permanent home so they can find a new job. We also need an expungement court. We've got a dedicated veterans court and drug court. We can only take care of people and get them back on the straight and narrow path of life if we expunge their records. So once that happens, once the record's been expunged, they have full citizenship rights again, and that to me is critically important. So let's take care of folks who are coming out of this system back into Cuyahoga County. It may not be utopia, but it's a lot better than what we have right now.
I sometimes wonder if my opponent is running for statewide office. Remember my words, because he has been absolutely mum on the issue of gun violence. I have been out on gun violence, talking about how we need to curb gun violence in our community. I've been acting on it. For years, I ran that after-school program with a notion in mind we needed to give kids safer space after school, safer than the streets in their own neighborhood. I want you to commit to say to the state of Ohio, enough. And you know what I mean by that. Enough proliferation of guns into our community. That to me begins to bring us closer. And I do agree we will not, utopia is an interesting word, but we need to be safe. We need to have a community where our kids can go out and play, where they feel safe in the streets and they're not victims of random gun violence or targeted gun violence. I think my opponent needs to come out on the issues of gun violence like our own kids are and our students in our school and say enough is enough. I've been there. I'm proudly supported by Moms Demand Action, 30 mayors in Cuyahoga County, and there's a reason why. Enough is enough with violence in our own community.
All right, thank you, candidates. And I have the final question. I spoke of it earlier, that some of your presentation was involving my question, and the juvenile detention center kind of merged over into it. So I'll redirect my question. What will you do as the county executive to keep people out of the juvenile detention center and the Cuyahoga County Jail?
Well, again, I think it goes back to creating opportunities. Cleveland is the poorest big city in America. It's the worst place to live if you're a black woman, and worst place to start a business if you're a black entrepreneur. We need to invest in the urban core. This is why I'm promoting a 10,000 homes initiative, 4,000 good paying jobs in the urban core, and a $10 million program to help 250 urban-based, minority-owned small businesses form and grow. I know of no other way to address unemployment, poverty, hopelessness, and crime than opportunity. And that's what I will bring to Cuyahoga County, opportunity for the first time in 100 years to the urban core of Cuyahoga County to create wealth that starts and stays in the urban core.
You asked about prevention, Mr. Bibb. Thank you. Let's stay together, doggedly providing prevention programs for our kids and for our adults. The issue for our kids, I've outlined it, and I've lived it and worked it with experience, some 10,000 kids a year in our aggregate education programs. We need to give kids experiential opportunities after school, which you want for every kid in Cuyahoga County. We particularly need to do it where there's disadvantage in our neighborhoods. We need to create prevention opportunities, keeping our kids busy after school on the weekends and in the summers with enrichment programs. It's what I've done. It's what I've raised millions of dollars, over $1 million every single year for 16 years, and we'll do it again and again and again. We need for our adults to create worker programs, workforce opportunities, training opportunities, new skills, upskills, and reentry opportunities. That's the only way we're going to get to keeping people out from beyond bars. The other thing, it's on us to create actual diversion and actually getting people what they need, which is often addiction treatment services and mental health services. Let's think about justice, economic justice and justice, not just a jail. Thanks again.
All right. This was awesome. I'm sending for Reverend Ben Fair, who is chairman of our committee for the Juvenile Detention Center. What we ran into today, and as a result of this podcast, Reverend Ben Fair, they just ran away with your committee, the Juvenile Detention Center. Will you share with them some of the things that we heard from the October 6th, 21 plain deal of what's wrong at the Juvenile Detention Center? Can you remember some of those things?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Bibb. Some of the things was that the youth that are in the juvenile detention center are being, mistreated, not getting proper education. They're being staying in their cells too long, and it's causing them, they're not being able to get visitation properly. So those are some of the issues that was happening with the juvenile detention center. So if you guys can address perhaps what you could do if you become the county executive to curtail some of these things that's happening with our youth.
Well, as I said, the executive does not control the juvenile detention facility, but you can certainly have influence through the budget process. We have a major problem in our justice system in Cuyahoga County. And it's the judges and it's the jails as well. We need to move people through the system faster, whether they be juveniles or if they be adults. The average stay on the county jail in Cuyahoga County is 210 days. We have 34 common pleas judges. The average stay in the Franklin County Jail is 32 days. They have 17 judges, half as many judges as Cuyahoga County, and the average stay in Cuyahoga County is 6 times longer. This is the challenge. Our judges do not work. They don't move their dockets, and so kids sit at juvenile and adults sit in the jail waiting for indictment, waiting for their trial, probably violating the Sixth Amendment right to the Constitution to a speedy trial. As county executive, I will ensure that our judges work hard, move their dockets, and move people through our criminal justice system.
You raised an extremely important point about the conditions within the juvenile detention center.
Yes.
One, I think we've got to ask ourselves as society, we have to have a conversation with the court administrator and juvenile court judges. Why is the high proportion of bindovers into adult systems coming out of Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court, and we got to fix that. We've got to fix the fact that there is a high proportion that is persons of color, kids of color, black kids that are just going off to adult prison systems. We got to ask the question and fix the problem of why kids are spending 22 hours in a cell block. That is just not a civil society. But I'm going to continue with the experience I brought, and that experience is about prevention strategies. It's about enrichment strategies. It's about working with every kid that we can offer after-school programming, summer programming, experiential learning opportunities in places where the kid feels cared for. That has got to be our work every day, and summer internships. It's all what I've done with hundreds of kids in the high school and thousands of kids in the K through 8 programs. I'll do it more and more and more, and we'll invest resources here. This is about opportunities for our youth.
I do have one more question, Mr. Bibbs. My next question would be concerning the new jail. Would you propose that the new jail would have the courts connected to the new jail, or would the courts be separate?
Well, I've been clear. So I want to renovate Jail 2, so that would be connected to the current court system, court tower. And I want to build a second jail downtown, which would be very close to the Justice Center as well as to the Diversion Center on 55th Street. We need a complex in downtown Cleveland, Justice Center, Jail 2, what I'm calling Jail 3, and the Diversion Center, all within a short drive of each other. And I think that would work much better than the proposed jail, which would have been 15, 20 minutes outside of downtown Cleveland, of course, on a contaminated site. So having these four facilities close to each other, I think we meet the need of efficiency, delivery of service, and ensure that those in the jail are held humanely and tried expeditiously.
I've been clear over and over that the issue of co-location of the judges' offices and chambers and the jails need to be co-located. It was a economically inefficient plan. It was an environmentally disastrous plan, and it was unsafe to actually promote separating the two. We need to be efficient. We need to be helpful to those that are working there and also those who are in the custody. It needs to be accessible. And so I do think a location that is on site or near site is what needs to happen. Families need to access this. Judges, lawyers need to be able to access this. But from a cost efficiency standpoint, the two belong together, and we have the land in the downtown, in and around Lakeside Avenue, existing site or anything nearby to get it done.
I want to really thank you candidates. This has been awesome and history breaking. We've never had anything like this.
Right.
And I'm really thrilled about you participating in it.
Thank you.
Coming to this table, there's some things we never dreamed of would come to this table.
Yes, sir.
We came here, we worked on a juvenile detention center for a year and got zero. Nothing changed over there in a year. Now, we got one of you going to be running this county, and you know what we expect from the inside. We're going to take our host committee and give you a summary of what you guys said, what should happen both downtown jail and the juvenile detention center. I know the law about what you're actually over, but I know how budgets work. You're over the money that you distribute. That determines what happens. I know about the juvenile administrator and how they work for the judges, all that. But we know how to get around that and how to make things happen. And under this new administration, we're going to make things happen. We're going to hold you accountable.
That's right.
And I want to thank you again for coming, and the best of luck. We know the citizens are going to be better off under 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Have a
Thank you, Mr. Bibb. I
wonderful
appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Appreciate
All right.
Thanks again, Mr. Bibb.
And we'll
Best
get that
wishes.
summary
All right.
to you
Thank
right
you.
after this. All right. Thank you. All right. Is Ms. Sharp in the house?
Thank you.
Okay, all right. James Darrell Bell,
Yes, sir.
take the chair and call on Ms. Sharp and Ms. Joanne.
Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you.
Yeah, while I see my guests out. Yeah. While I see my brand new comment.
Vivian Louise Sharp, are you in the house?
Go to Joanne.
Joanne Holly, are you in the house? Joanne Holly, are you in the house?
Oh, okay. Louis, how long you been there? Come back in, guys.
Well, I just want to say that
Okay, I was muted. I'm sorry. I was
phenomenal
muted.
evening with the two candidates, and we are really looking forward to a new direction in the county while we continue to move forward. We will be looking for Mr. Bibb to come back as he returns to his seat, and I will give the show back over to him.
I'm
We are
here.
having a live and living color meeting.
Can you hear me?
Make call posts here in the house. Mr.
Can you
Chris
hear
Renee,
me?
have your seat, and Mr. Weingart, have your seat, and Miss Candace Jones, go down to the end seat there, would you?
I'm muted.
Miss Candace Jones? No, Miss Candace Jones, go down there, because Mr. Louis Moore is getting ready to take a picture. All right.
Oh,
While they're getting together, one thing I know, we have at each end of the table, gentlemen, two former elected officials. And we know on election night, everybody has a victory
can you
flag.
hear me now?
No, we don't hit, we'll call you back.
No, I
We'll
was
call
on
you back,
mute.
Miss Joanne Holly.
I was on mute.
We interrupted for a commercial. It's called the Chris Renee Ryan commercial and Weingart commercial. Okay, Mr. Louis Moore from the Calling Post is shooting the picture now. So get your winning smile ready. Louis give us our instructions. We have to do what Louis says. Then you'll be ready to go. Anything else, Louis? Now,
Mr. Bibb.
yes.
Right here.
Now one more picture. Bring my host in here. James Jerome Bell,
I'm right here.
back here, stand behind the next executive. Make sure you stand in the middle. Two ladies, come on in, move fast, cause you're on the clock now. Put the two ladies in the middle. Make the men's bookends. Put the two ladies in the middle. Get close together, behind them. Get behind them. Where's Gwen Jarvis?
Here.
You got them all now? Make sure I got my call posted up. All right. Jeff, how am I doing?
Okay, here you go.
Thank you, Louis. Thanks, Mr. Bibb.
All right, all right. You don't mind a little extra PR, do you?
Thanks, Charlie.
All right, all right. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good luck. Thank you.
Take care, Charlie Bibb.
All right, thank you. All
See you,
right,
Charlie.
all right. To do the commercial. Are you still on the air?
I'm here.
Judge Sullivan here.
No, tell me, quick, I can't hear you.
Judge Sullivan here. You invite him to come.
I'm here.
Who is he?
Judge, you invite him to come.
Who is he?
Judge, runs for
Sure. My name is Cornelius O'Sullivan. I'm a judge on the 8th District Court of Appeals. The 8th District encompasses Cuyahoga County, and I'm running to keep my spot there. I've been a judge for a little over a year. I was appointed when, unfortunately, Judge Larry Jones passed away. And so Governor Mike DeWine appointed me to fill his seat.
Okay, all right. And you'll be on the ballot?
I'll be on the ballot in next week. Yes, I am.
Very good, all right.
I've been worked in the Court of Appeals as a law clerk long ago, back when Judge Patricia Blackman and Sarah Harper just started. I was actually there 2 weeks before they were. So I got to know them pretty well when I was there, and then I went out and worked in the courts of appeals all over Ohio for 25 years, practicing in Ohio's 12 districts. I've been to 7 of them. And actually, the 8th District has hired me to represent criminal defendants to go to the Supreme Court. They've hired me to represent criminal defendants in the 8th District in the past. So I've been there, I've done the work, and I've been happy to stay there and keep up the work.
All right. Thank you very kindly. I'm glad we were able to get to it.
Thank you, Mr. Bibb. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Reverend Fair.
You're welcome to. Judge,
Give me a,
okay.
how's my time?
Best wishes to you. Okay, bless you. We have 3 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes. 3 minutes, Mr. Bibb.
3 minutes. No, we got more than 3 minutes. What time is it?
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Reverend, what kind of clock you looking at?
10 to 7 live.
All right. Do we have anybody on the phone? Is Miss Joanne on the phone or Miss Sharp?
I've been on. I'm on now.
All right. Miss Joanne, the floor is all yours.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Charles E. Bibb Sr. Good evening, Ohio and around the world. Welcome to People Get Ready with Mr. Charles E. Bibb Sr. I am your cryptocurrency queen, Joanne Hollywood. I have some extraordinary information to share. Get your pen and paper out now, and I'm excited for what the future has to offer. I was blessed to be invited to join a private group that helps you build your legacy with cryptocurrencies and trading without having to spend a lot of money. But your options are unbelievable. It's giving me the chance to build my legacy and help my family and friends do the same. We deserve a brighter future. If you actually want to succeed, you have to want to succeed. And we have something that's revolutionary. Don't miss this, no excuses. If you want a lifestyle change, you have to tell yourself, I will find a way, I will create a way, but I will not create an excuse. So let's start getting moving and shaking. And Mr. Charles E. Bibb Sr. is actually having a presentation on November the 5th, which is a Saturday. That's a live performance at Chandler Park at 17325 Euclid Avenue, conference room 2011. Come on out. We're going to have a blast. You're going to learn a lot, meet a lot. And also we have a Thursday night call at 9 p.m. Eastern that you can get on and hear more about this. 712-775-8968. That's 712-775-8968. Thank you so much, Mr. Charles E. Bibb Sr. It's back to you.
All right, thank you, Miss Joanne Holly. Mr. James Jerome Bell, come right on in. We have some great news of a big event getting ready to happen at the East Cleveland Public Library. Miss Candace Jones, would you share with our listening audience and our viewing audience what's happening on November the 10th at the East Cleveland Public Library, please?
On November the 10th, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., there's a County Jobs Application Day. County Application and Cleveland Builds Trade Day, County Jobs Application Day. This will be held at the East Cleveland Public Library, 14101 Euclid Avenue in East Cleveland, 44112. Again, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Learn about various apprenticeship trades and how to enter them. Again, this event will take place at the East Cleveland Public Library, Thursday, November the 10th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So look forward to seeing a lot of people come out for that.
All right. Would you repeat that time, please, again, Ms. Candace Jones?
10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the East Cleveland Public Library, 14101 Euclid Avenue, East Cleveland.
Okay. I'm looking for Miss Brenda Brickerstaff.
She is not on.
All right, Ms. Candace Jones, would you bring us up to date on ERC? What's happening this Saturday?
So this Saturday, there will be a training, a SNAP delivered training, and getting started. We'll also go into the ERC program, the benefits of the ERC program, and how to get started with that as well. That's this Saturday, November the 5th, at the Chandler Park Building, 17325 Euclid Avenue. That's at the corner of Euclid Avenue and London Road. The second floor conference room, suite number 2011. Saturday, November 5th, starting at 4:30, as Joanne mentioned, and hope all of you will come out and join and get started with SNAP.
Give us those times again, because we got several things happening Saturday. Ms. Candace, please, what time your presentation start?
So Saturday, November 5th, there'll be a live presentation from Joanne and cryptocurrency. And then at 5 p.m., the SNAP delivered training and the ERC getting started will take place and start.
All right. Very good. Ms. Gwen Jarvis,
Yes, sir.
do you have your list of endorsed African Americans on the November ballot? for
Yes,
the
I
state of
do.
Ohio?
Yes.
I want you to read that so the Sharon Penman will know what's happening in the state of Ohio at the polls on Tuesday, November the 8th.
Okay, all right. Federal candidates, congressional candidates. Joyce Beatty, Congressional District 3. Chantel Brown, Congressional District 11. Emilia Seitz, Congressional District 13. Statewide, Cheryl Stevens, Lieutenant Governor. Chelsea Clark, Secretary of State. Cuyahoga County State Representative, Darnell T. Brewer, District 18, Phil Robinson, District 19, Terrence Upchurch, District 20, Juanita O. Brent, District 22, Cuyahoga County Council, Yvonne M. Conwell, District 7, Meredith M. Turner, District 9, 8th District Court of Appeals, Michael J. Ryan, Court of Common Pleas, General Division, Jeffrey P. Sappho, and Deborah M. Turner. Court of Common Pleas, Domestic Division, Tanya R. Jones. That completes the list of the endorsed candidates of the African American Democratic candidates for the general election, November 8th, 2022, Mr. Bibb.
Now, for our audience information, they might have missed it. We have 2 African Americans running statewide. Would you please repeat those names again?
Yes, statewide, Cheryl Stevens, Lieutenant Governor, and Chelsea Clark, Secretary of State.
That, Ms. Candace Jones just broke a record. 2 African Americans running on the statewide ticket in the same year, Democratic. So we're achieving a lot, but we have a lot more to achieve. So the next 2 years is gonna be real busy. And I want to tell everybody that who were late coming on, what a wonderful job we did with the candidates for county council. Not county council, county executive, excuse me, county executive. The county executive, Ms. Sharon Penman, would you come over and Reverend Ben Fair behind Okay, behind James Jerome Bell and behind Candace Jones, because I want you to understand what has happened tonight. Move quickly, we only got 30 seconds. That in this podcast tonight, this has never happened.
Yes.
We're gonna have action on a project we started a year ago. The Juvenile Detention Center and the Cuyahoga County Jail merging under one man who understands that we're gonna take action. I want to thank everybody for looking, and I want to know how fast can we get this on the YouTube so other people can hear it from now to election day. Thank you very kindly, and we'll see y'all next week.
All right.
All right.
you.
Good night. That was a
Good
lot of
night.
shuffling around, but we did it.
Good night. Great show.
Good night.